Welcome to Custom Made in New York podcast, reminding women of their worth 1 week at a time. This show is dedicated to all women, custom made especially to win. I'm your host, Raven Joseph. Hey everyone, welcome to my podcast. This is episode 9, Educating Our Girls. It is Women's History Month, and I just wanted to, if you aren't involved already, to take action. I was recently reading an article that reminded me that 98 million of our girls in this world still don't have a formal education. And we know that education pulls you out of poverty. We know that education, formal education, leads to better, healthier lives for our children. It leads to a better economy. It leads to less abuse of women. Not saying that women who are educated are not victims, but they're less likely to become victims of domestic violence. It leads to the forced arrangement of marriages. We have such a great impact on the economy. We have such a great impact on the climate. I was also reading another article by Brookings.edu that explained that female education is the cheapest, most cost-effective mechanism for reducing emissions. This is due to projected population growth. As women, when we're educated, we're less likely to have children at an earlier time in our lives. We push it off. And because of this, the United Nations projects that the world's population will grow by 2.4 billion people in the next 30 years. And almost all of this growth, 2.3 billion, will be seen in developing countries. So if we can really educate our girls and find ways for them to find work and build themselves into society, it just is crazy. Imagine us not being able to vote. Imagine us not having a say in what happens to our lives. This is what is being experienced, and it leads to depression, isolation, social isolation. When you're not involved, you have so many strict laws that are preventing you from being social and active. It's not happy, and it's not conducive to community. I would say, as a woman, I am so proud of how we grind hard, but we do so with passion and compassion. And I'm teaching World War II this week, and I was teaching about the atrocities that were happening, and I'm speaking to my kids, and I'm just like, if only women were in power. Like, how do you intentionally drop a bomb that kills 70,000 people in one instance? Civilians, kids, babies, women. Like, how is that okay? How is that the only means to an end? Like, I don't know. It's just, I feel like women are better as leaders. And this is why, one of the reasons why I started my nonprofit, Ladies About Community Elevation, because as women, we need to have conversations. We need to be involved in our community. We work better together with others because we are empathetic. I feel like the well-being of people will be at a priority rather than power. My organization has a group of girls. We meet once a month, and they take workshops. They have an opportunity to communicate. They have an opportunity to work on projects with other organizations in the community to develop solutions for the issues that are happening here and now. And because of this, they're able to build those collaborative 21st century skills that are needed to be successful, right? That we don't necessarily teach in our history or ELA classes explicitly. So my experience, how I even got into being a mentor, created this organization, was because there were girls that needed direction at a school I worked at, and the dean would constantly send these girls to my room during lunch because they were just wreaking havoc in the cafeteria. And we developed a relationship, and I realized then how important building relationships were with our teens, especially as women. We have such an impact on influencing, inspiring, encouraging, and motivating our children by just building simple relationships. Like, this is why I want to encourage you to become a mentor. You're helping these girls to develop community, communicate better, and you're inspiring them to be confident in themselves. Like, being a role model, they see what you're doing, they want to do it too. They may not tell you, but they're talking about it. You know, their behaviors are changing, right? So they learn how to have professional relationships, healthy relationships. We can shift the culture. For me, growing up, I wasn't able to have certain conversations with my family. My family's from the Caribbean, from St. Lucia, and I wasn't able to talk about dating. I couldn't date, so I was dating, right? So my advice was coming from my friends because I couldn't go home and ask questions to my mom. It just wasn't happening. So having a space where we're educating our girls on healthy relationships and being good people and being kind and learning about our culture and not allowing our girls to learn from social media, which is so big these days. And we see, especially in the community, in urban communities, we see that families are working so hard to maintain the household. They're working double shifts and they're not really raising their children. Social media is, unfortunately, right? And I've always believed, I've been a firm believer that it takes a village to raise a child. So even though they may not be available, there's somebody there to support them. There's someone there that's encouraging them. There's someone there that's correcting them. As a woman, in my experience, I know I'm powerful. I know I'm a game changer. And I just want all of our girls to recognize that power within themselves. And so that's why I want to encourage you to become a mentor. Help our girls to be better and to grow and to have just a support system. And I know being a mentor may take up a lot of time and you may be super busy, but why not donate? There's so many websites online that help, especially girls in underdeveloped nations, to get formal education, which is what we really need. And also another thing besides donating, besides becoming mentor, is just speaking nice about our girls, speaking nice about women in general, no matter your experience. I recently had a meeting a couple of months ago with a parent, and I was explaining to the parent that her son would engage in disrespectful behavior because there were two other females in the class that were encouraging him to do so. And instead of him saying no, he would be silly and be disrespectful. And his mom turned to him and said, "Didn't I tell you that these girls are the devil?" That stung, and I really, really wanted to say something in that moment, but I didn't know what to say without being rude. So I didn't say anything at all. And my supervisor was in there, and I didn't want to take the conversation off of her son. And, I didn't want to, so to speak, put her in her place in front of her son, if that makes sense. So, but it's just not teaching our kids that women are devils. Like, speak kindly, speak to our young men, especially because a lot of young men don't know what a healthy relationship looks like. This is why it's so important to have us as women to be role models, us as women to speak about our gender as if we're equal. To say that you're the devil, what are you telling him? What are you expecting him to do when he gets older? How are you expecting him to behave towards women when you're telling him women are the devil? Like, that's planting a seed for havoc. So again, I encourage you to take action today. It is Women's History Month. There are so many organizations that have mentor opportunities, so many organizations that are working with underdeveloped countries to provide formal education to our girls. You can always donate. And if you don't have the time to do any of those things or the finances to do any of those things, just speak nice to our kids. Speak nice about ourselves as women. So before I log off, if you're interested in my gratitude challenge for Women's History Month, I have a whole bunch of challenges for the month of March where you can do random acts of kindness to your sisters, whether you know them or not. So hit me up in my bio, Custom Made in New York, on Instagram. And in my bio, I have a link that you can subscribe, and I'll send you out all of the challenges for the month of March. And I encourage you just to be mindful of who you are and how much of an impact you have, because we are so powerful. Don't ever forget that. Thanks for listening.